Welcome back to the David Kurten Show. Here, I'm TNT, today's News Talk. I'm David Kurten. And I have with me today someone that I know very well. This is Sean Turner, who is a Heritage Party councillor in Kent. Sean, welcome to the show.
Hello, David. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks. Good to have you on the show with me. And how are things with you in Kent? You became a councillor a few months ago. You were elected, well, you were unopposed onto your local parish council, and that's a new thing. And I always encourage people to get involved in local politics. But what's it been like for you since you became a councillor?
Okay, so I'm like about a year into the parish council now, being part of the
Mm.
council, and yeah, I mean it's a very interesting start because as soon as I got in there, the agenda items were coming through straight away. Globalist agenda, I'm talking about there, and it's very minimal, but it's very noticeable. So this whole global to local concept is very much alive and kicking.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
so what sort of things specifically do you notice coming in? Because I mean, I think most people I talk to are in local government from the Heritage Party say that you're up against the woke agenda and also the climate agenda, and those are two things that we stand against. But what specific things have you noticed in your local area?
Well, as we know, the climate agenda particularly underpins everything, doesn't it? It's all connected.
Mm,
And I slowly start to see that the climate agenda is joined to everything as well. So,
mm,
for an example, like we have a traffic committee
yeah.
and they're talking about preparations for active travel policies that are coming through, and it's trying to get people out of their cars and getting them cycling and walking. So,
Mm.
every part of and every committee, there's always something within it that's connected to the global rollout, I think.
Yeah. But you see that
Mm.
when you say that, it doesn't sound too bad because it says, oh, we want more people to go walking, more people to cycle. That sounds healthy. But actually, the effect of that is that it restricts our freedoms, doesn't it?
Correct. Yeah, definitely. Does restrict our freedoms. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they want to put on restrictions on how much you use your car. So it's not just about encouraging walking and cycling, it's about restrictions on car use. And have
Oh,
you seen any? Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to say it's restrictions on private travel, isn't it? All over, really,
Mm,
because we have the freedom to go where we want at whatever time we want. But
yeah.
if they're putting restrictions on car with parking, with
Mm,
flying. The climate agenda just curtails freedoms on education, food supply, private travel, energy, social housing. I've sort of seen that through the planning as well. It's coming through from the planning committee as well that they're putting curtailing freedoms on homes. I mean, picking up from one of your guests that was on last week, Mark Windows, he talked
mm,
about the £25,000 lien on people's homes through climate policy and energy saving and
mm.
EPC, energy performance certification. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a multifaceted thing coming at
Yeah.
us, really. Yeah.
But this is something that is happening on every level. I mean, you mentioned global to local, and a lot of people will just think, well, this is what the national government is doing in Westminster, but actually, it's being implemented in local councils as well, isn't it? I mean, you all over the country, and this is
Well,
something people don't realize. Yeah, yeah.
well, I'm going to take you back to April the 10th, 2019. So Maidstone Borough Council, which is our borough council where I live,
Mm,
they voted on a motion to declare a climate emergency.
mm,
And this whole, the evidence for this was an IPCC report. And as
mm,
again, I go back to Mark's interview last week, he mentioned that the characters that make up the IPCC, they've already said that this is not about environment. This is not about saving the planet. This looks like it's creating green jobs. Um, it's all about mitigation, and I think the money is in the mitigation. So they're kind of using a climate agenda to create business for their NGO pals. I mean, that's the way I look at
Mm. Yeah,
it.
I certainly see that. I mean, it's a, they talk about green jobs, but what are green jobs? And then
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
if you have these new jobs, it just seems like a big shakedown, and a lot of big businesses are getting a lot of subsidies for making products which are absolute rubbish and which would never survive on the free market, like electric cars, for example.
Yeah, and as you said before, they're destroying the planet to save the planet. Taking
Mm,
all the minerals and the stuff out of the ground to create batteries for cars, but
yeah.
it's kind of sorting a problem out one side, but then destroying the planet on the other side. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's like sweeping stuff under the carpet.
It certainly is. Look, Sean, stay with us. We'll come back after this quick news break and talk some more. This is today's News Talk, TNT. Welcome back to the David Kurten Show. I'm David Kurten here on today's News Talk TNT, and I have with me still Sean Turner, who is a Heritage Party councillor in Kent. Welcome back, Sean. Now,
Hello.
one of the things that hi, one of the things we've been talking about to me a lot, but it was and sort of feedback and things is how the council is pushing the climate agenda on schools, and also how it's being pushed in schools as well. Though now you're a father, which is wonderful,
Mm.
and congratulations on that. But what do you see, and what have you seen in terms of it being pushed climate propaganda in schools?
Well, my little boy come home with a phonics book not so long ago, and I started to look through the book, and the whole point of the book is you sit with your child and read the book,
Mm,
and you're clarifying the vocabulary. The book was just opened up with total climate propaganda, pushing certain vocabularies to kids. I mean, this is designed for children between age 5 to 7.
yeah,
There's vocabulary in there such as "we are spoiling our planet," "we're destroying the planet with harmful greenhouse gases," "the planet is getting too hot and plants will struggle to live."
wow,
And then it continues on. I mean, overall, from the outside, from the pictures and stuff that are in it, it looks very positive. It promotes
yeah.
active travel, it promotes kids walking and cycling, which is wonderful. But
Mm.
it's all like an innocent version of what we're getting as adults.
Yeah, we might have a slide that might
Yeah,
come up about this, but if we don't, I mean, we can just talk about this. But because it looks like it's all nice. It shows pictures in a garden planting trees, which is very healthy. I mean, everyone should be doing this. Kids should be outside in nature learning about agriculture. But on the back of that, it is pushing this dodgy science. And you showed me some of these pictures going to kids, and it's saying essentially the world is is going to boil, essentially, isn't it? And all these other kind of things.
yeah, correct. It's it's painting a picture and painting it very negatively. That's what I think. I
Mm,
think that if kids are learning, if they're learning vocabulary, we should learn positively. And
yeah.
if we're going to save the planet, if there is really a problem and we want to save the planet, they're the generation that have got to help to do it. So let's turn it into something positive. But using
Mm,
harmful, destroying, these very heavy words for a 6-year-old
yeah.
boy, it just it creates it creates mental health issues, I personally think. And again, as I've spoke about earlier on, I think they're trying to connect everything together, so it's like
Mm,
climate crisis meets mental health crisis. I'll move on to
yeah.
another book in a minute. once we've done this one.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because you did mention another one just before we mentioned that. I mean, what this book does, it has pseudoscience in it because you always get these graphs in very simplistic book graphs in these books aimed at children, telling us that there's a problem with greenhouse gases. But actually, if we didn't have any greenhouse gases, the average temperature on the Earth would be minus 18 degrees Celsius, and we'd all be
Mm.
frozen. So thank goodness we do have greenhouse gases, which actually elevate the temperature a little bit. And the biggest greenhouse gas we have is water vapor, and that's responsible for about 95% of the greenhouse effect. And then carbon dioxide is a little bit of the rest. And the effect from carbon dioxide diminishes as the concentration increases. So, you go up beyond 100 parts per million and there's very little effect. You go up beyond 400 parts per million, the effect is negligible. But they don't tell children this. They just put in the books, oh, if we keep on living like we do and eating meat and driving cars, then the planet is going to end. And that's really, really frightening if you're a child, because you don't have the mental capacity of an adult to actually look into it, to question it, to criticize it, to engage some skepticism and some scientific pushback. And so the second book you were going to talk about actually is very disturbing, isn't it? What's that book?
Well, it follows on really. I mean, the whole point of it as well that I was trying to get to is it's pointing the finger at the child, isn't it? It's pointing the finger at
Right.
humans, saying that you are causing this problem. Where you've just said, if we look at proper science, it's
Mm.
humans have got a very small, very minute effect. And the effect that we do have is a positive effect,
Mm.
but they're showing it in a negative light. So, I mean, the other thing about this is so that's the first book for the younger age. And
Mm.
then I'll move on to the next book. Just remember, both of these books are classified as non-fiction.
Right.
So they're
Mm.
basically saying this is the truth. The science is undebatable. Let's say, you know.
Well, I do. People should come to me. I've got a chemistry degree. I'll tell them what the science
No,
is.
no, exactly. But you're telling the child that it's
Mm.
undebatable because it's non-fiction.
Yeah.
So it's settled, isn't it? It's reality. Anyway, I'll move
Yeah.
on. I spotted this one in the local library, and I just want to say before I continue on with this, with regards to librarians and the local teachers, this isn't pointed at them. I'm not getting at them. This is something
Mm.
sinister that's coming from the publishing house or the author or some infiltration within them institutions.
Mm.
Because it was Mental Health Awareness Week, I think, and I walked into the library, and there's a book there called Eco Anxiety, and like
Wow.
I didn't even realize that this term existed.
No.
Eco anxiety. I mean, so this
Wow.
is looking up on the library website. This book is for 9 years plus. And when you start to get into the book, again, it's very arty and it's got some beautiful drawings. I don't think we've got the slide there, but
No. Mm. Mm.
it's got captions from Greta.
Oh,
Um,
right.
stop listening to me. You listen to the scientists now. It talks about climate deniers in there. It
Mm.
talks about 99.9% of the scientists throughout the world have agreed. And as I said, this is meant to be non-fiction, and they're
Yeah.
9 years old. I mean, yes, I've got two young children, and this frustrates me. It really does, because this is no way to deal with anything, you know,
Yeah.
in such a negative light, and it's as if they're creating a mental health crisis.
Yeah, well, they are, because they're going to children. They're yeah, and they're frightening them. And like you
Yeah.
said, they're pointing the finger at human beings, and they're trying to get children to feel guilt. This is like a new religion, and this is the sin. of that new
Yeah.
religion, isn't it? And but it's a sin that you can never atone for or be forgiven for,
Mm.
and the only thing you can do is to be permanently guilty, which is a horrible, way that they are psychologically abusing children. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. And this, what you mentioned in the book is utter nonsense. There is not 99.9% of scientists who are climate catastrophists. There are, perhaps a majority of those who expressed an opinion, and not everyone expresses an opinion, say that human beings have some small effect on global temperatures, okay, which is minuscule compared to the natural effects, and we don't have to be alarmed with it. And most of them would say, well, this is happening, we just need to adapt to it, and if we adapt to it, it'll be fine. But they're twisting this and alarming children, which is really child abuse, psychological abuse, which is utterly appalling. Like, Sean, we've run out of time for this session, but we could go on. There's so much more to say about climate alarmism, but you're doing an amazing job as a counsellor. Just before I go, is there any, like, just a few seconds, any sort of the final thing you would say about people to people about getting involved in politics?
Well, definitely. I mean, I'll quickly say that, the whole mental health thing, I'm not trying to make fun of it. I really am. I'm a really am an advocate for supporting children with mental health.
Mm,
So I'll say that to start with. And secondly, I'm just going to put a shout out. Get involved. People need to get involved, especially if you're
yeah.
a parent as well and you're handing this over to the next generation. Come and get involved. Come and do what you can. You don't
Yeah.
have to stand as a candidate, but please come and help. I can't do it on
Yeah,
my own like you
fantastic.
can't.
No, no, exactly. I totally agree. I can't do it on my own. I mean, the local elections are coming up on May the 2nd in England, many
Yeah.
places. Please, if you can, stand as a candidate or help candidates get involved in the process. Because if you want to change things, if you want to stand up against the woke agenda, the climate agenda, the way to do it is to get involved and take power in the local councils and ultimately in Westminster as well. So we need more people to get involved, and now is the time. Don't keep Sunak and Starmer in power just by your inaction. That would be my plea to you as well. Sean, thank you so much for joining me on the David Kurten Show.